Hi, good evening. I'm going to talk about Laudato Si. Uh, Laudato Si appeals uh, people around the world to initiate the creation of agrarian theology. Pope talks about farming, farmers and their issues, about their work, and about their land and what to produce, organic farming or genetically modified crops. All those issues Pope is discussing in Laudato Si. So I'm going to talk about agrarian theology, which is not made yet, and 2000 years. I think what were we doing? I mean, we didn't think about our poor farmers, their problems. In India, 3 lakhs farmers committed suicide, and they sell the land as if land is the commodity, and they put fertilizers, poison, herbicide, fungicide, genetically modified crops. They'll lose seeds, natural seeds. They have to depend on uh, the big companies to provide seed plus fertilizer. And many people, they don't think that agriculture is a prestigious profession. So they abandon agriculture and they go to the towns, to cities. So I think if we had agrarian theology, some kind of religious rationale or a framework, I think people would have been motivated in the right path and people would have remained doing agriculture because God gave only one mandate to humanity: till it and keep it. Genesis 2:15. So I think our people are not educated. I think the church, the members, the bishops, the cardinals, the priests, we all failed for the past 2000 years when it comes to the creation of agrarian theology. The Bible is full of texts, especially Leviticus chapter 25, the sabbatical year, the giving rest to the land every 7 years and also every 49 years. So God is teaching the agrarian community how to care for the land and the soil and the creatures and the crops and the poor, those who work the soil. So I think it's a brilliant. So we need to create agrarian theology. I think Laudato Si has got, in my opinion, at least 30 to 40 different texts that indicate um, uh, for the creation of the agrarian theology. Some of the text I want to read it to you from Laudato Si. For example, the Laudato Si, paragraph number 67, the Pope writes as follows: each community can take from the bounty of the earth, also as the duty to protect the earth and to ensure its fruitfulness for coming generations. The earth is the Lord's, Psalm 24, verse 1. Such a beautiful word. The earth is the Lord's. To him belongs the earth with all that is within it. Deuteronomy chapter 10:14. So everything on earth has a copyright. The Creator owns it. Amen. These people are, all the land and the soil, the elements of the earth, are not orphans. They are children of God Himself. He created, He cares for them, He values them, He caresses them. As it were, the whole creation is the caress of God. It comes out of His own love. And Laudato Si 164, another text which can point out to the creation of agrarian theology. Pope writes as follows: interdependence obliges us to think of one world with a common plan. Such a consensus could lead, for example, the Pontiff writes, to planning a sustainable and diversified agriculture, developing renewable and less polluting forms of energy, encouraging a more efficient use of energy, promoting a better management of marine and forest resources, and ensuring universal access to drinking water. So it's beautiful. The new forms of energy. That's what we need. Probably we should come back to organic agriculture. We should abandon the green revolution and the atrocities associated with the revolution and come back to natural way of farming. A farming which is focused on mercy and compassion. And green revolution is a violent way of farming. So Pontiff is writing, he's appealing to the world community to come back for the mercy and compassion paradigm. Another text from Laudato Si, paragraph number 129, Pope writes as follows. There is a great variety of small-scale food production systems which feed the greater part of the world's peoples, using a modest amount of land and producing less waste, be it in small agricultural parcels, in orchards and gardens, hunting and wild harvesting, or local fishing. 129 Laudato Si. Around the world, they don't depend on multinational corporations. They don't rely on a supermarket to buy food, but poor people, they themselves produce their own food. They got their small farms, small distributive systems, small markets. Probably you go and buy from the farms themselves, and most of the food is produced organic agricultural way, so which is good for the health. And there are no fertilizers, there's no pesticide, there's no fungicide, there is no genetically modified crops going on. Everything is natural, seed based. You sow, you reap and save the seed, again you sow, again you reap, again save the sow. Recycle and recycle and recycle. It's a natural way of farming. So that is what Pontiff is writing in the paragraph number 129. So one more paragraph, 134. The Pontiff writes as follows. This dependency would be aggravated were the production of infertile seeds to be considered. The effect would be to force farmers to purchase them from larger producers. See, he talks about the infertile seeds. So when you go for genetically modified crops, you depend on multinational corporations. Each time when you cultivate, you need to pay not only for the seed, associated fertilizers, fungicide and herbicide. So much of cost. That's why Indian farmers, they couldn't pay back. So they committed suicide. 3 lakhs Indian people committed suicide. We should have provided some kind of spirituality for them in case of danger and crisis, but we failed. But now we can do it. So one more quote I want to read from Laudato Si, paragraph number 180, 180. Pope writes as follows. Agriculture in poorer regions can be improved through investment in rural infrastructures, a better organization of local or national markets, systems of irrigation, and the development of techniques of sustainable agriculture. New forms of cooperation and community organization can be encouraged in order to defend the interest of small producers and preserve local ecosystems from destruction. So this is the beautiful, is encouraging and supporting the poor farmers and the poorer regions. Government has the responsibility to improve the agriculture. Sometimes small farmers produce, but they can't sell their produce in the markets because they don't have markets. So Pope is asking the government to create markets, small markets. And also most farmers, they don't have good irrigation system in India. They depend on wells or bore wells. There are no surface water. So probably the government can help building some canals and bring water to the people where there is no enough water. And also we can encourage small farmers. Government can support small farmers because the multinational, the industry farming, they produce enormous amount of food. They got markets, they got customers, and they in fact destroy the local ecology and ecosystems in order to produce monoculture, only one crop. Maize means maize, wheat means wheat, barley means barley. It's a monoculture. But natural farmers in India, they cultivate multi crops farming, which is very good and good for the land and good for the farmer, because the farmer can get income every week, little, little, little. He doesn't depend on after 90 days, but because he has a multi crops planted, in 30 days some crops they are matured, and 60 days they are ripened, and 40 days another crop. So every week or every month farmer can have his own income. And organic farming, that is what very important today. So our health has been really endangered, and our genes, we don't know what mutations are taking place in our body, and had the future generations, we are not doing justice. Actually, we are making our future generations dumber, stupider. Probably they'll be handicapped. We need to really think about all the side effects of what we are doing. So I think agrarian theology is very important, not only in India, not only in Asia, around the world, because the Western world may not create agrarian theology. They don't need it anyway, because they are capitalistic countries, and they don't need agriculture, because most of the time, most of the Westerners think that food is grown in supermarkets. They don't know how agriculture dynamics work. So I think it is the only farmers. It's a need from us. We need it. So we don't depend on anymore on Western people to today's agrarian theology. We can create something from the East, and it can become slowly, it can become also mainstream theology. But now we can label it as a liberation theology. We can liberate the land. And there is already feminine theology, Dalit theology, there are minority theology, there is so many theologies. So agrarian theology also could be a liberation theology for the land, to the farmer, to biodiversity. So I think there are lots of benefits. In future, our farmers, they don't have to commit suicide. They don't have to sell the land. They don't have to put fertilizers, fungicide, herbicide. They don't have to grow genetically modified crops. At last, they don't have to think that agriculture is the meanest job. So our future generation, will have prestige, and they will have pride in doing agriculture. Even the doctor, medical doctor children can come back to farming. Even engineer children, they can come back to farming. Even teachers, even a big government official children all choose to do farming. So because agrarian theology can restore the value and dignity for the one of the oldest profession in the whole world, which is endorsed by God himself in Genesis 2:15. Agrarian theology. God commanded only one mandate: till it and keep it. Thank you. Bye.